Christopher Thompson sits in his classroom, grading the previous class's tests and waiting for the next class to begin. As the halfway bell rings, a student from an earlier class comes in and sets her stuff on a table, walking up to Mr. Thompson's desk. She asks about how his classes are, if everything is going well throughout the day. He replies in a short manner, not giving much away. As she keeps asking questions, he looks up to see her leaning over his desk, glancing at him. Her hair is flowing over her shoulder and she wears a tight shirt, biting her lips seductively. He asks what she's doing and she comes around the desk. She sits on the edge, waiting for his comment, and Mr. Thompson attempts to ignore her, turning back to his grading. Eventually, he looks up and asks what she really wants. She tells him in a flirtatious voice of how he makes her feel special through the class, always asking her for answers and never having to correct her. Gently, he tries to steer her path away, starting by telling her that it's not what she thinks. As he tries to explain, he slowly mentions that he's already in a relationship with his girlfriend, Jenny Shaw.
Taylor leaves after hearing this, gathering her things quickly and making a speedy exit. She doesn't come by during lunch for the rest of the year, much to his relief. Little does he know the young girl has something else up her sleeves. As the new school year starts, Mr. Thompson is called to the principal office to discuss a scandalous matter. Immediately, Mr. Thompson noticed the detectives in the corner of his office as the principal asks how Mr. Thompson knows a girl named Taylor Williams. He answers truthfully, but with lies of omission when it comes to her behavior the previous year. Finally, the principal brings Mr. Thompson into the conference room where Antonio Garcia sits. Across the table from him sits Taylor, her friend Whitney Austin, and the school counselor, Julie Matthews. They tell Mr. Thompson of what Antonio was accused of, and he is appalled. He's even more surprised by the fact that Whitney Austin claims to have seen them together on multiple occasions. After the meeting, the police continue to gather evidence. Christopher speaks with Antonio and feels confident that he speaks the truth when he says nothing happened between them. Taylor comes to Mr. Thompson's classroom and offers a deal. She'll make sure they never get enough to charge Mr. Garcia, Mr. Thompson's close friend, if he agrees to go out with her. He immediately refuses, knowing that police would never find anything since nothing went on between the two.
The next day, Antonio is charged and taken away. At home, Mr. Thompson tells Jenny Shaw, his girlfriend, what happened. After talking it over that night, they agree on a plan. Christopher would go to the police the next morning and tell them everything that he knew. So that's what he does. The next day, he reveals the truth, claiming he thought Taylor would twist his words to help her cause more. The police return to the school the next school day, getting the security tapes from the classroom where Mr. Thompson and Taylor had spoken. Immediately, Antonio Garcia is released, evidence clearly proving that he is innocent of these claims. The news spreads like forest fire the next day. Taylor had been expelled for her accusations, and it had been noted on her school and criminal record concerning her lies and attempts to hurt others. Christopher is offered a position at a new school coming to the area, taking it quickly and living a full of happy life for the rest of his days. Antonio is happy with his life as well, especially after check from the payout for the wrongful imprisonment of himself. After all, life went better for those who spoke the truth, rather than spiders who spun lies.